Hi Kingsgate kids, it's so good to see you. Have you been watching the Frozen Planet series on TV with David Attenborough? It's amazing. I loved watching the polar bears ice skating and having fun. It looks so beautiful and clean. And the world that God made is beautiful. You know, if you look around you, at this time of year, you will see that the leaves are just starting to go brown and gold and yellow and fall from the trees. And if you look closely, you'll see some conkers. I love conkers. They're so brown and shiny and squeaky when they first come out of their shell. You know, God loves us to enjoy His world. And in His word, He said, it was good. And He gave it to us to look after. You know, our memory verse today in Psalm 115 verse 16 says, the highest heavens belong to the Lord, but the earth God has given to mankind. Wow, what a privilege. We get to look after the world and all of creation. Kids, that's amazing. You know what they don't show you on the David Attenborough show is that as well as icebergs, there are really great big plastic islands in the ocean floating under the surface of the water and just made out of rubbish. And you know, these are formed by water currents and eventually they break down into tiny plastic particles. But you know kids, the fish and the small animals that live in the sea don't realise that these little plastic particles are not food to eat and they're not good for them. It's really not good as they don't get any nourishment from that. And have you heard of fatbergs? Great big lumps of fat that are found in the sewers, and they're stuck together with really disgusting things like wet wipes and cotton buds and other things. Ew! Doesn't that sound really gross? Does that sound like we're looking after God's creation? You know, kids, it must make God really sad to see these things. I know it makes me sad to see something I have taken a long time to make just destroyed and ruined. That must be how God feels too when we don't look after His world. You know kids, there are ways that you and I can change the world and look after it better. One thing we can do is be really careful and not waste the resources that we've been given. I guess lots of you already recycle your plastic and paper and glass at home, putting them into different bins. Well done. Keep on going and, you know, try to reuse things rather than just buying something new all the time, like a shopping bag. You probably have heard at school that you should be reducing, reusing and recycling. You know, kids, those little things can really make a big difference to our world. And, you know, littering, throwing our rubbish on the floor makes the world a mess and it can be harmful for wildlife. Like if you take your dog for a walk, why don't you make sure that you safely clean up his mess and put it in a special bin? He's your dog after all. Most of the litter that you see on the roadside is from fast food shops, but to be fair, it's not the fast food shops that have put it there. It's the people that have been and eaten that food and thrown their rubbish on the ground. So let's make sure that we take our rubbish home and throw it away properly. Why don't you have a think about how you use your resources too? Do you leave things plugged in at home and use lots of energy? What about when you go out of a room, do you turn the lights off as they're not being used anymore? And maybe when you clean your teeth, do you remember to turn the tap off so that you're not just running water down the sink while you're brushing your teeth? You know kids, those small things that we do can make a really big difference. And those stinky fatbergs that we talked about a little while ago, think about what it is that goes down your toilet. Yep, you got it, poop and toilet paper. And that's designed to break up and dissolve. Wet wipes? No, they shouldn't go down our toilet. Cotton buds? No, they should not go down our toilet. Food waste goes in the bin, not down the sink, and stick everything together. It's really gross, isn't it? But we have to be really careful and take care of these things. All these things are just little things that we can do in our world to make a big difference. If we all do it, we can all look after God's creation and be proud of the world that we live in. You know, this week, kids, we're setting you a challenge. We want you to think, how much can you do to make a difference in your street. If you're on one of our campuses, we're going to be giving you a special glove and a card to tell you what to do to go out on a litter pick. And you'll be able to go out safely with your family and clean up the area that you live in, because we need to take care of this world that God has given us. Why don't you ask your grown-up to help you? Or maybe you could join a community litter pick. Let's make sure we're all being good stewards of our world this week. Remember, the heavens belong to God, but the earth was given to us. See you very soon. Bye.